So this hike is to practice what I preach, and that's to put this tent up and down, try it in different locations, see what little idiosyncrasies it has, get familiar with it, so that, you know, the quicker you can do that, the more times you can set a tent up and put it down or use a pack, the more comfortable you become with it. Pretty soon it's like your best friend. And so that's what I'm doing out here today. And I have really run into some issues, nothing to do with the tent, but the terrain. So 90% of the time I can always find rocks to put on my stakes. But I'm just a few miles from Lake Michigan, and this hardwood forest, you wouldn't know it to look at it, but it's all built on ancient sand dunes. And so the soil here is very sandy. And again, I've mentioned that this corner and the opposite corner where you put your poles up get the most stress, and so you want to really make sure that those are pegged down well. And usually I'd have a rock on top of them, I'd have no problem. But on this trip I've actually used my dig tool as a stake. I can drive it in quite a ways, makes a great stake. And then my knife that I showed you fits into my dig tool to slide into my storage pole. I use my knife not as a stake, but as a stake maker. So I've been whittling longer stakes for those two corners whenever I stop in this sandy soil, unless I can find rocks to put on top of my stakes. So one thing I haven't mentioned about this tent is the color. Probably not important to a lot of people, but I love the color. I love this muted green. It's good for stealth camping. You know, one of the reasons I don't like Dyneema tents, I don't like the color of them. And Z-Packs actually offers a few colors, and I don't like any of those either. But you know, I do a lot of stealth camping. You know, like when I hiked across Ireland, you know, it's like a field trip, a farm field trip when you're in elementary school. You're just walking across people's property and farm, and like on the Dingle Way. I slept with sheep behind big stone walls a lot of nights, but if I was close to a town, I just wanted to be kind of stealth. And what I ended up doing, I'm only a second generation Irishman, so I stayed with my relatives over there, and the problem is they're all dead. So I was sleeping in cemeteries, and to split it up, you know, I would sleep with the Mallorys some nights and with the O'Connors other nights and the Donahues. I don't want to make anybody mad, but doesn't, you know, a cemetery doesn't get a lot of visitation at night, so it's actually a great quiet place to camp. My ground cloth made out of the 1443R Tyvek is working out great. Actually, it's kind of nice because like my other tents, I've had to kind of cut them into shape, and with this one I just left it in a rectangle. So, you know, the ground cloth is going one way, you're sleeping the other, and so both corners are completely covered. And I put my ground sheet out in a rectangle, set my tent right over the top of it, which helps orient the tent, and then I'm fully carpeted, so I can put gear on either vestibule. Like I said, I like to use the other one for entrance and exit and keep all my gear on this side. So that's worked out really great.